Hello and welcome to Design Education Talks by the New Art School. Our guest today is Sheng-Hung. Welcome, Sheng-Hung.
Very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
It's fantastic to have you here. So tell us about you and your work.
So I'm Sheng-Hung. I trained as industrial designer in electrical engineering when I was in college, and very lucky to join IDEO Design Continuum for 5-6 years. And now really focus on talk about ideas shifting from design for retirement to design for longevity. So you can think about it's extension from financial planning to longevity planning. So we think more than just financial health. Also think about family support, community, social well-being. So pretty broad, and that's my current work on with MIT H-Lab and also MIT Ideation Lab.
That's really exciting. So how did you get into teaching?
I view teaching also as a research, and for me, this is my 12th year teaching. And when I work at IDEO at Adjunct at Fudan University and taught about product design and people graduate school a thesis project, undergrad school thesis project, and that kind of really for me you teach, you kind of learn more because you try to synthesize complicated theory or framework to your own language, and to let people without any design background or with limited design background to understand what do you mean by prototyping, what do you mean by synthesizing or ideation. So it's for me that really fascinating to me. And as my growing changed my career to more academia now, I'm still co-lecture, also TA for the class called Aging and Built Environment with the H-Lab director, which is also my boss, Joe Coughlin. And also as a lab instructor for the class, Introduction to Design, and really focus on undergrad kids major in mechanical engineering department.
That's really exciting. And what is your latest project?
So my latest project, it's pretty cool, with teaching. I'm going to graduate soon, hopefully. And also my current side project is I talk with one designer from Teague. So Teague, you can think about as a design studio with Boeing. And we try to think about how can we envision and design space travel for aging population. So space traveling is fascinating. The reason we think about space traveling with aging population is kind of both extreme condition. Space travel is extreme environment, zero gravity or very different various gravity situation compared with extreme users. Could be kids or elderly people. It's more they're fragile. They're kind of fragile in terms of their physical or mental condition.
That's great. That's great. So how do you see the area of employability for graduates today?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel for me, we used to very intuitive divided design by different discipline, right? Industrial design, architecture, urban planning, interaction. But now I feel the challenge we're facing is complicated, is systematic. For example, climate change, aging issue. And we can't solve these problems just by one designer, one hero designers. It's more collective effort and collective work. So I do feel now the way we think about design, it should be divided by different types of challenges. And that can really help to kind of think about how can we cultivate students or young talent with multiple skill set. And that also changed the career in industry. For example, when I work at IDEO, my title is industrial designer. And at that time, it's actually become dinosaur. I mean, now a client came to us and said, no, we're not just have industrial design product as a final deliverable. We want the whole experiences and services with strategy and research, right? So kind of they want everything. But what does that mean for students graduate from school? You have great skill, rendering skill, sketching skill, but where's the human skill? We want to expand, I know people talk about T-shape, but I feel now we should even push further pie-shaped person. not just one core, also think about another side, like how can you expand, and not just like expand horizontally, also vertically, to make sure we can address challenges, also cross collaboration. It's really important, like collaboration, human skill, creative leadership, communication skill, all like I think is really important in design education. And that really position ourselves where we shouldn't position ourselves as a design labor. We should position ourselves as design leader. So that's kind of where I look at the job market. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So what adjustments do we need to make to design education to facilitate that?
Justified education to facilitate. I feel like it's more like you can see, not just because I feel design education also connect with other disciplines, right? Not just design, engineering, technology, social science. So somehow when other domains are changing rapidly, especially AI, everyone talk about AI and ChatGPT all the time. AI is everywhere. What does it mean for design as a field, as a study? And I feel like now, like MIT, for example, we have the new like a Morningside Academy for Design, MAD called MAD. They propose and promote like Design Plus. So Design Plus means like we're not just, how do you can't really hone the definition of design. It's more like design plus something, design plus engineering, design plus like social science, design plus technology. And that really formed the new ideas of like, how do we view our curriculum design? How do you view the way we look at education? It's a mix of like domain, and also like it really depends on people's interest, passion. And also, to be honest, now a lot of like repetitive work is already replaced by AI. We need to create more new challenges, also like solve more new challenges by this computational age.
Okay, so you mentioned AI. So what would you say the skills are the students need in order to leverage that?
I feel like what skills students need is like traditionally it's like one-way communication. When I grew up in Taiwan, traditional Asia kind of like education environment with traditional expectation. Oh, high score, top 1, top 2, role model, type A students, right? Like A plus, A. And I feel it's more like one-way communication. The professor or lecturer teach you, you receive the knowledge. But now it's like everything is transparent, right? Like you give me like 7 days, I learn from you to everything. The hard skill, right? Okay, I asked ChatGPT help me to do how to coding in Python, or I had all the information. It's very transparent. I think now it's like we're in the class. It's more like it's less about one way of communication. It's like multiple ways, not just student to teacher, also students to two students, peers. And also, it's actually not physically only in, for example, I'm here in Cambridge, in Boston. No, it's to the world.
Yeah.
For example, this podcast, we're going to share across the globe, not just in UK, right? So it feels like, for me, that we also transformed that way we think about education. It's less about teaching. I think it's more about you curate the right content to let students to talk. And my perspective, I really don't think we should call teacher or professor as a teacher teaching. It's more like an enabler. And I feel we really create the right condition so people fail, they feel forward, and they feel safe to fail. I feel like my example is like I learned so much from every time the failure kind of moment in the project. Oh shit, I don't know, like we don't have enough funding, the time didn't work, the scope of the project, it doesn't right. So somehow that really makes me think about, really what I learned in the class or in the company is human skill. It's connect with people. And the knowledge, the hardcore skill, I can always learn and grab online or offline.
Yeah. It's like an accelerator. You mentioned YouTube. Once I was looking for a very specific solution to software, really specific. And there were 10 videos on YouTube that claimed to do that. But really only one of the 10 did. So if the student doesn't have the information, they can't judge what content to learn. They can't curate. So we're like an accelerator for that. So it's problematic with the information because everybody claims to have the information, but very few actually have the information.
Yes.
So in fact, if anything, YouTube can be more confusing if you don't already have the information.
Yeah, I think build on that. Let me think about now people use like generative AI
Yeah,
tools a lot,
yeah,
right? The funny thing is like you can give me like tons of ideas, but how do I curate lifestyle, my own taste,
yeah.
right? Like you say, YouTube provides so many knowledges, so many people promote their ideas, but somehow, how do you know it's the right knowledge or the suitable knowledge for you? So that's why it become more confusing. It's a pool of like information, not knowledge.
Exactly, and it's also what the input is. Even for AI or for YouTube, as coders used to say, garbage in,
Mm.
garbage out. If you're feeding garbage, then that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. So you're right. So somehow, I truly feel like design education, we still need to focus on ethnography research, understand people, human empathy part. It sounds very old school, like, oh, why you need to go out interview people? No, that's the core.
Yeah,
That's where, like you say, that's the input we want to have before we do any design or any like process.
absolutely. So what do you want to see in a portfolio? What do you want to see in a graduate profile or a student profile that's asking for apprenticeship or work?
Yeah, I think every year I got all the questions about how can I prepare my portfolio for a job interview or like internship opportunities. I feel like I truly think it's not about like number of works in your portfolio. Let's say 3 to 5. I think what I really want to see, or most people hiring people want to see, or design director want to see, is like vulnerable story, the story about failure. Like I know I not critique all the design award. It's more like a lot of people have great concept. You want like concept design award, design award for student category. Amazing. But if you look into it, damn, where's the process?
Yeah,
It's very sexy rendering.
yeah,
It's very cool sketches, right? Oh, it looks beautiful. Like everything's like professional, visually, aesthetically, elegantly designed. But if you look into it, how do you get the solution at this stage, right? Tell me how you feel and tell me what are the people's stories. And most people are like, oh, I don't have that. I just have rendering or animation or like very, very tiny section of it. And I feel the portfolio is about yourself. And for me, the process is the destination.
yeah,
You have to. I feel like design is not end. It's like evolution. It's keep working, keep evolving, changing,
yeah.
different condition, resource constraint, stakeholders. So somehow, when you show people your work, it's actually tell your design journey, your story. So the reason I say 3 to 5, because I want people to expand to talk about the process, how you work on this project. Do you feel like it's communication wise okay? Is it a teamwork project or just like your individual project? And I feel that's really important. Can tell how much effort you put in the process, come up with this solution. For me, solution is just a result. One of
Absolutely.
the result, one of the possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. What about ideas?
Um, ideas is I feel like I always feel like we design things like things with human temperature. Means like empathy is very broad terms, but what I really mean by empathy is like does people feel there's an aha moment? Oh, it's so beautiful, like design. It's not overly designed. When I work with my friend and he's asking one of the famous designer like Nato Fukasawa, very famous Japanese designer, and he used to be like ex IDEO and found like now it's like a advisor from Muji. So he's telling my friend, he said, "Oh, you guys want to design stationery or souvenir?" So like, is it another souvenir? So the idea is like, is it really people needs that,
Yeah,
or just like design for sake of design? So what I mean by that is like, I really feel like identify the real research question or design challenges is really hard. And solution, it really depends on your questions. How do you frame this? Like, for example, when we say, oh, this is like I feel this room is bad. It makes me feel always depressed. And we'll look into it. Is this room is bad or because, for example, temperature is not right? lighting is not right, right? Or somehow there's no window space. Where's the green? Where's the plants? So somehow we need to identify that through our life experiences, and also like not just empathy, it's everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't discussed?
No, I feel like design education is nowadays a lot of challenges, right? And I know based on my experience that a lot of school want to establish PhD program for design. So they call PhD in design. And then I personally feel like, okay, what's the purpose and what happened? People graduate from the PhD program, and how can we design a PhD program to combine both academia and industry? Because I truly believe that design is like application science. It's connect with industry and also framework. It's not just about, oh, let's close the door, publishing, like writing. No, we need to go to the market, go to the world to embrace all this ambiguity. And how can we do that in academia? And I would say design academia is a very different field. I feel it's always there's a beautiful tension between like the client's request and also how do you stay like a neutrality in academia. And that's why I feel like that's interesting topic to look at it. And also I read some books about PhD program for designers, and a lot of like schools already have the PhD program, but the problem is like how can you make it sustainable? Yeah, are we cultivate the right talent for research and design, and how can we make sure we have very strong capability not just on research, also have design side, creative side, also with rigorous research process, and that will be make this interesting program more meaningful and important.
Absolutely. Is there any advice you'd like to leave us with?
I feel nowadays is very for me. I really feel I'm very lucky to be a designer, and especially like design educator. And I always get inspired by students and young talent, also senior people, my advisor and mentors. And I feel as a designer, it's like it's a lifestyle choice. It's a passion. It's a lifestyle choice. What I mean by that is like I very little time. I very few to feel tired. I feel like because I enjoy the process, the way I feel I enjoy it is like I forgot about time. I really immerse myself into it, especially for design education. Like you just purely love it. It's not task. It's not like an achievement. You're looking for fulfillment. And I feel that's really beautiful to really think through that and really like live in the work. I feel satisfied, also help people, empower people. And that really makes me happy. Yeah, I really appreciate that you give me this chance to share my thoughts in this great platform through this podcast.
That's really wonderful.
Because we can spread to the world,
Absolutely.
not just like between both of us. I feel like if I can help younger people, why not? Because also the people get help in the past, especially now. I feel like it's the same way. I want to give people more, not just receiving from others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Sheng-Hung. It was fantastic talking to you, and keep in touch with the podcast. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh.